Good evening, ladies and germs. I'm going to do something a little different. I recorded the introduction, and I'm going to talk over the recording of the introduction of myself because I have this, I had this years ago, this incredible, freaking miraculous crash, and I have an immediate memory problem. So I thought I'd do stereo to jog my mind. So hi, I'm Seamus Casey, as most of you know. Some of you know me as Seamus. Seamus, that's me. Today's a beautiful and a sad day. It was a memorial for one of my best friends, Scott Ian Barry, in Woodstock, New York, novelist, at the Bearsville Theater. Thank you, the Bearsville Theater, for giving us the space too. And Sheila Gould, and Roy, Fiend, Scott, Teresa, all you folks. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop naming it, Orca, Rick, Fiend, Alex. Yeah, a lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked it. Yeah, so that's why I decided to do this. Yeah, I did. Everybody said, like, you got a copy? Can I have a copy? Well, see, my poetry is, I got an ancestral line of oral tradition going back into antiquity prior to the Celts. So, yeah. It's crazy, one of your best friends just bam. I mean, he's sick, but then he's better. And then he's sick a little bit and he's better. But he's still the same person. But then you notice that he doesn't move as fast. He doesn't, there are things wrong. But Scott was a warrior throughout the whole thing. And he wanted to maintain his persona no matter what, and he did valiantly. Two of his books back here, you have The Wolf Empire. He's very famous for that. Let's see which is it. There we go. There. Wolf Empire. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Brilliant book. Robert Redford did an intro on it, and then of course one of his last photographic books, but he was also a novelist, Castles of New York, Scott Ian Barry. And a foundation's being set up to aid the environment and wolves. So we're gonna try to keep this going. We have not we, but the folks that I would like to be involved with have that I know are going to set up a website with his interviews and films and some of the brilliant things that he had accomplished. And anyway, no further ado, let me do the poem. And I'm wearing my scally cap in honor of Scott because he always wore one. He's born in Queens, by the way, Flushing. Was a Met fan. Was running on the concrete like I was with the boyos, doing all kinds of mayhem and mischief, but I survived it and Scott survived it, and we both met briefly at Hunter College some years ago, and then again about 10 years ago. An event. Scott Ian Barry, a tribute. Scott Ian Barry. Scotty and Barry. The name itself is evocative. Even if you never met him, instantly images of tartans and bagpipes appear, as if from the other world, out of the Highland mystic. But if you did know him, then these were not visionary daydreams. They were the man himself, and the image he projected was true. Some of it was smoke and mirrors, but the mirror and the smoke is true. Scott was a real man and embodied those qualities that define what a man of the Celtic or of any race was. And in terms of the sacred masculine, he personified it and lived it day to day. He was a knight of the Wolf clan. He personified their holy aspects, and at the Arthurian Round Table, he was king of the North. He took on the mantle, and he served an ancient tradition of chivalry and civility, of a spirituality that paid homage to Sophia, Isis, Mary, goddesses of wisdom. His Templar ancestors, and even those noble lords from our far ancestral past that he embodied, that force of righteousness to be reckoned with, that courage that knows no fear. Scott lived not a life that followed our social norms. He was beyond the traditional paths that we all take. He forged his own way through the forests, this forest of many illusions. Standing tall, smiling broadly, hand upon the hilt of his sword, the clave as they say in Irish. He was an expert and a complete swordsman. An actor, he gave us an amazing Rob Roy. You could see the pictures on Facebook. He lived among the wild timber wolves in Canada, highlighting with his amazing photographic skills. But it wasn't just the photograph, the frozen images, the perfect angles and f-stops, the black and white contrast that stirred in the hearts of humans long closed from false fairy tales of demonized four-legged beasts, our brothers the wolves. He gave life to this species that opened our eyes of a humankind ready to receive the knowledge of their brothers wrapped in fur, the dolphins of the forest. Scott was no ordinary, extraordinary polymath in the field. He was the living, breathing Samildanacht, many-talented, an ancient Gaelic word applied to the sun god Lugh, whose wit and feats astonished the high king's court and all those attending, because they each had a skill, but none of them had all of the skills as he did. Scott had an eidetic grasp on history, and he wove tales that were mired in truth, fire, blood, and history, but that always expounded the high virtues of the warrior, that ancient stream of the Grail Brotherhood. Scott could look at the knock of an arrow and the bow and tell you how far it would go, straight or wild or wide. Scott could hold a sword in his hand, blindfolded, and tell you if its steel was true, and where was its home. He was indeed a quandary of a man, strong, witty, cautious, listening, but emboldened to speak his mind when it was right to right the vagaries of man. He grew up like me in a concrete jungle where young bucks bash their horns against walls that held us prisoners, trying to do right while feeling as elusive as moths pinned to the storm. We ran like archangels in modern forests made of steel and rust, swimming in polluted waters of a species gone mad. And while the lemmings rushed into the Hudson's deep, Scott paused and lifted himself up like a young wolf. Scott Ian Barry, Scott Ian Barry, Scott Ian Barry. A name that touches upon legend like a castle's demesne, far-reaching, ethereal, knowing only the boundaries set by one's searching mind over the hill away. He was larger than himself. Yeah, he was larger than life, with opinions that shattered any illusions of deep-seated propriety that may have escaped you, and he made you laugh at the hidden rules that you held. Oh, I gotta do it this way. His Leo rising was not a lion, but a wolf of the cosmic howl, more mysterious than Allen Ginsberg's poem, and louder than the jet stream of woven energies. In Scott's world, the world of the King of the North, the Sphinx had the head of a wolf, its paws stretched forward into the timber snows, deep into the 13th legion of the Roman sword. There the 13th legion blended with the warriors of the Gael and the Gaul, reincarnating whenever their services were required, sailing with the New Templars to Portugal and vast mysteries of an unknown world to the west. He was poet, writer, chronicler, swordsman, historian. He was the white two-legged brother of the wolves. He was the photographer, artist, actor, lover of the beauty of the goddess Sophia. He was no fan of false humility, but spoke his talents loud. Scott didn't embellish truth to make it palatable, not to enrich himself, but to educate. Oribus tenco lupum, holding a wolf by the ears. This was the true way that Scott faced his final days, holding the tiger of his illness by the tail. An unsustainable situation, in particular, in which doing nothing and doing something are equally risky. Scott Ian Barry, Scott Ian Barry, Scott Ian Barry. To me, you were always true to who you were. You were a man of dignity, honor, and class. I love you, my friend, my brother. 13! Now may you pass. Amen. A woman. Gormagat Namaste. This was written on 11:11 p.m. this month, but it's not really that important. What's important is that Scott's legacy and all that he worked for continue, and there's going to be a website set up where this will happen, where we can protect the wolves and the rest of the animals and the environment, and his novel, his photography, his books, his poetry, his beautiful prose with those photographs of the wolves. It can be contained, and there's going to be many interviews with Scott. Some of the things that interviews that he had and all, and that'll be put together, and we hope to maintain his memory and honor him for what he did as a man of honor. A man the way a man should be in this world. And we need that now. The sacred masculine, along with the goddess energy, together we must unite and make this world the way we all dream it should be, the way it was originally intended. And I'm not going to get into politics, but thank you very much for listening. And I don't believe I did it as well as I did it at the Bearsville Theater this afternoon. A little sibilant. But I want to tell you that if you were touched by any of this, then know that if you had met Scott, you too would be touched. And you too would cry. 13, my brother. Thank you.